Thank
So
you.
I have turned on the recording.
Okay, good evening, everyone, and welcome to Town of Mansfield Sustainability Committee meeting on May 11th at 6:03 p.m. We have our bunch of members here and an alternate, Josh Walters, who's being seated to vote in this meeting for an absent member. So hello, everyone. Good to see you. Let's start with, well, why don't we just say hello to each other? Does anyone want to just, I don't know, say a quick hello and any updates and what's going on? Why don't we start with you, Peter, since you just turned on your screen?
Uh-oh, that'll teach me.
Yeah.
There's so many things to think about out there. I'm happy that the recently closed legislative session was so successful.
Yeah.
At least 3 or 4 or more climate bills. Really important. And it's pretty interesting to read about and to hear about why it happened this year.
That's great. Katie, you want to say hello?
Well, yeah, I wanted to give Ginny an update on that. I have got my new, not recycling bin, compost bin all set up and started filling it up. I didn't realize it was going to be quite that big, but I am generating enough product to put into it. So, and so I'm enjoying that, to tell you the truth. That sounds weird, but I know it helps my plants, and I've also got some plants coming up already. I planted some seeds and in my new planter, my standing planter, and they're coming up already. So feeling good about that. Also, I just wanted to pass along, we had the town meeting last night. The budget passed and your mill rate's going to go down by 1%. So that's a good thing for all of us.
Complain about that. Lots of good news tonight.
Can I just ask Katie, just approximately how many people were at the town meeting last night?
A very disappointing 82.
Okay.
Approximately. There you go.
But there have been less and there have been more.
Yeah.
But I don't think there was too much controversial in the budget. They, I don't know if any of you have had a chance to look it over, but they really took a lot of time with it, different departments took time with it. The town council took time with it. And Suzanne did a wonderful presentation last night for the school board. And it was, it was, like I said, there wasn't a lot of controversy, but I was glad that it's finally passed and this season is past now.
Yeah, budget season. Yay.
Just one other question, Katie. Is
Sure.
Of the 82 people, what approximately or exactly was the vote for and against?
80-2.
Thank
Katie
you.
doesn't deal in approximately. She's got all the details.
Yeah.
Nice. Thanks, Katie. Thanks for the updates. Josh, how are you doing tonight?
Great, nice to see everyone. Spring is already, seems like it's flying by. I had all these grand plans to get some pollinator plants planted and get the garden going, and we're already heading into the middle of May here. So I need to get my butt in gear.
It is moving along. Hey, Matt, how you doing?
Hello, I'm good. I guess the only real big thing that I've got that's new is they're looking at putting a tasting room in the mill down in Mansfield Hollow near where I
Oh.
live,
Cool.
which a lot of us neighbors are concerned about due to the fact that they're gonna have a permit for up to 99 people going every night of the week till 8 o'clock, and then I think it's Thursday, Friday, Saturday till 10 PM, and we're worried about the impact down here in our little neighborhood. We've got some apartments right down across from the mill, and it sounds like it's gonna be the equivalent of a bar, and they kind of keep doing it piecemeal, so we're not really sure, so we're gonna go to the meeting and find out what that's all about, and I don't know how that's gonna go. I mean, we're happy for them. They've done a lot of great stuff for the mill and kept it alive, so to speak, but I'm not quite sure. It seems like it just keeps creeping towards opening a bar down there, and I don't think that would be great for the neighborhood, but we'll have to see. But if anybody's interested in that, it's right up by the dam, right?
Yeah.
Because we have a lot of people that access the open space there, and there's a lot of, there's some apartments right across the way, and, we would hate to see that turn into the local party spot and music blaring and cars all over, and they aren't supposed to be serving alcohol there, but I don't know. So there's a lot to chew on with that one.
It would
So
be
anyway,
very good to hear from you at a planning and zoning meeting. We should have a public hearing on it coming up pretty soon,
I think it's
and-
on,
but it's not a done deal that I know of.
okay, because we were very concerned, because I think they moved it back to the 16th now, and they're kind of claiming they got to do this to save the mill, although Yukon rents the top floor for their art studios. The bottom floor is rented by the owners. They have a big business selling turbines. They have their hydroelectric plant on site. So I don't see how, and they've already got a winemaking place there. I'm not sure how this is an all or nothing kind of thing, but yeah, we're very concerned about the hours, because most wine places, wine tasting rooms and things like that, they close at about 6 PM.
Yes,
So this whole going till 10 o'clock with up to 99 people, and they started off, they put the winemaking in, and everybody was up in arms, but oh, don't worry, we're not going to sell it, it's just produced, and everybody kind of calmed down. Now they want to sell it, and it seems like they've got a long-term plan. So I don't know, and again, we want to
Alright.
see them be successful. So
Huh.
it's an interesting conundrum, because
Yeah.
where do you meet in the middle? So anyway, that's all that I've got for
That's
our
what
little,
you've got on your mind.
and I think I sent Ginny a couple emails about stuff that came across my desk that I thought would be interesting to the committee here, and I think she might have put that on the agenda. I'm not sure. I just had my daughter get COVID, so I've been dealing with that, and
oh,
COVID will never end, I swear. It needs to go away. But anyway, so
Yeah.
sorry. That's all I got.
All right. Well, I hope she feels better and it doesn't spread through the family. All right, so let's jump into the agenda. I will entertain a motion to approve the April 13th meeting minutes.
So moved.
Thanks, Matt. Do we have a second?
Second,
Thanks, Peter. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
I,
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? So moved. Okay, thank you. Next agenda item is the non-residential renewable energy solutions program, the Titan Energy offering. So Ginny, I think you sent.
28 Oldwood.
Yes, I did. I sent you a link to it. And also Titan, just as way of introduction, Titan Energy, the town works with Titan Energy. And one of the things that you, Lynn, had asked me to do was to just get an idea of what solar projects are in the works. So I have an update on that, but I don't know if you want that first or if we could impose upon Josh Walters, who is involved with this program, to speak to it. What would you like?
Yeah, Josh, do you feel comfortable just with an explanation from your experience? I know if we're going to take action, you'll probably recuse, but what do you think?
Sure. Yeah. No, I think it's I think the little fact sheet did a really great job that Jenny sent around. But before getting to Connecticut, there was a series of different programs on the non-residential side for solar, and this program was proceeding over the past couple of years. They tried to sort of get things all under one roof, so to speak. And so there used to be something called virtual net metering, where maybe a town didn't have enough electricity usage to justify the entire offtake of a solar panel or something in that regard, or a specific building didn't. So you had the ability virtually to assign those credits to different buildings. So they've folded that now under this program, is my understanding. My involvement with this project or this proceeding at Pura was kind of in and out. So some of this stuff I may need to correct myself later if I realize I said something wrong. But I think there's an opportunity for towns under the new program. They call them SAM customers, so state agriculture municipal customers. And it's you still have the ability to sort of share those credits with different accounts with the town, and then even some, I think you can even extend it, if I'm not mistaken, to other entities beyond the town's buildings if you wanted to do that. So if you had like a fairly large project, I don't recall all of the restrictions on that, but I do believe you could even have designated businesses beyond municipal buildings that could benefit from that. And there's the other piece, I guess the other big change, I think, is the prior programs, I believe, were all sort of netting style programs where the credits you received just offset your usage, or you netted your usage against what was generated. There are some folks out there who don't like netting, and so this program has two options now. There still is the netting option, but there's also a buy all option, it's called, which is just you're paid for the generation that's produced by those solar facilities, instead of like netting it against your usage.
Yeah. Is there anything similar to the cap of virtual net metering that means you got to get in early because there's a limited amount for this?
It is a competitive procurement again. So it is structured competitively again, and the size, it was expanded to 50. I want to say the size was expanded. I can't remember what it was expanded to.
I think it was from 50 megawatts to 100.
Okay, that's Peter. That's the most recent legislation, right? That just passed.
That's 176.
Yeah. So that, that was last week. I guess that probably passed. But yeah, so it actually, we just got finished having it sort of get implemented, and still in the process of getting the finer details worked out. and the project, the size of the program doubled, which is a good thing for towns interested. And will hopefully address some of the concerns that happened last time in terms of running out of capacity.
Great, thank you. Well, Ginny sent that around and I thought it would be useful before we got too excited about projects all over the place to just get a sense of what the town is thinking and what's in the hopper. And we know there's some solar happening at the landfill. So yeah, Ginny, if you want to share what you found out, that'd be great.
Sure. So Titan Energy put in a proposal to the state for a landfill system that'd be 2,700 kilowatts. And they are saying that they should know if the proposal is accepted by the end of this month. So that is, and that proposal would include connecting to a transmission line, which doesn't exist to the transfer station right now. So that would have to be either connected from Route 89 Southeast School going over the dam, or from Wormwood Hill Road. So no, not Wormwood Hill, Atwood Hill Road. The middle school is in the process. So they've been working on the roof. They're installing a 92 kilowatt system. And I inquired about Southeast School's solar system size. That is 454 kilowatts. And the Public Works Garage, they recently received the inverters for their system. They've settled at an 86.51 kilowatt system. Now, I did not add this all up, but it's like 3,300 kilowatts, if my math is right. 650. Yeah, about 3,400 kilowatts total. So that is what is in process as we speak.
Hey, Jenny, where are the panels going to go at the transfer station?
On the old landfill.
Oh, okay. Well, now, if you drive in and you're driving up to that little red hut, where is that landfill?
Have you ever gotten wood chips?
Oh, yeah.
That's the landfill.
wow.
The landfill stops right, or starts right beyond the big building.
Oh, okay.
Where the swap shop is, like 20 feet past the swap shop is where the landfill starts.
And they're gonna literally build right on top of that, and they'll have that
Yep.
large solar. Oh, wow, that's great.
Yep. Yeah, so some things will have to be moved around.
They'll still be able to get wood chips, right?
Yeah, that'll just go down below in the
By the compost.
yeah,
Okay, thank you.
sure.
Ginny, I had heard a while ago when there was, maybe 4 years ago, when there was some initial interest in doing that, that because hooking into the distribution system, distribution wires going along 89, that was going to be just way too expensive. But Apparently, Adam Teff and Titan think that now it's not going to be so expensive, or it's going to be worth it. Or did you hear much discussion about the cost of interconnection?
No, nothing. We meaning staff people like myself, Director of Public Works, transfer station supervisor, we were all surprised when we learned that town council had discussed this landfill project. We were not apprised of it. So, and I don't have any other details about it other than what I've just given you. So nothing was communicated to any of us.
And you said hooking into the transmission system, it's that probably more like the distribution system, the wires that are going along the streets, as opposed to going all the way down towards 180, 195, where the transmission, the interstate transmission wires are.
Yeah, I'm probably not using the right terms, but yeah, it would go down to Southeast School, I think is
Okay.
where the connection stops, or going, what is that? East on 89 to Atwoodville. And I think where it's I don't know if it's the first sharp turn, one of the sharp turns on Atwoodville is where the other connection would be.
Huh, interesting.
So my understanding is the proposal incorporates all that. Incorporates the costs involved with that. Because that was the deal breaker. So yeah.
Maybe I should stop asking questions since you said that's all you know. But do you know whether they've hired a company? I don't think Titan actually does the work. I think that they bring the parties together. Do you happen to know what solar company they're going to work with?
No.
Okay. Well, that's great news, though.
Mhm.
Assuming it happens.
Yeah, I mean, that was approved by the town council back in, before we had that, I think in January or something, a while ago, yeah. Good, so it sounds like we'll have some news on that by the end of the month. All right, thank you so much for doing that research. It's really great to have an update on the projects in the hopper that the town's
I can
thinking
also
about.
flag, it's not a town project, but there is another solar facility proposed in Mansfield it's like Coventry, and I have to be careful because there's some of this is public, so I can say some of this. Fern Road and Coventry Road.
Mhm.
I think that's like a 4 megawatt shared clean energy facility proposal. And so it's not town related, but it will be another potential solar farm that goes in. That process, I believe at the end of this month, the utilities are submitting to Pura the list of selected projects. So at that point, it will be public which ones were selected and whether this specific project gets selected or not, or at least submitted to Pura to be approved.
Would that need to go, that would need though to go to planning and zoning, right? I mean, it need to go through the town process as well.
I'm still new enough. I can't ever remember where if that might be big enough that it goes to siting council. I can't remember where the breakdown is. But it does.
Isn't it like 1 or 2 megawatts?
I think so. That's why I couldn't remember. I'm pretty sure this one is big enough that it's going to have to go to siting council. And then, so it still has, those types of processes to get through. But this initial program is just for the bids, the projects to be selected as part of the Shared Clean Energy Facility Program, which is a state program. And it's not always easy to find on DEEP's website, but there's the energy filings page, and there's a Shared Clean Energy Facility little like menu that you can click amongst a bunch of other different links. But one of them, I think you have to go to the second page, and then it's Shared Clean Energy Facilities. And if you looked at the proposals sublink, you can see all the different proposals. And one of them is named GCE Mansfield or something like that. So just something that you can publicly see on those filings. There's redacted versions that aren't available for public consumption at this point, but there's large chunks of it that are publicly available.
Josh, can you explain what your role at DEEP would be on that kind of project? Why you know about that? Why you're
Sure. So for SCEF, Shared Clean Energy Facility SCEF programs, there's a it's called Appendix B. It's basically, it's a deep review of projects that are submitted, and they have to qualitatively pass a review by DEEP. And so, and then they also have to be selected by the utilities based on their price. And so I'm involved in that process. So I'm aware of, various projects that are submitted through that process.
great? Thank you.
Okay, so is there any other conversation or thoughts related to, I guess, the email that Ginny forwarded from Titan and the opportunities under this program at this stage of the game?
Actually, I have a question for Josh about the SCEF program. So I know that a certain percentage, and I've heard different numbers because, and I think it's because of different times that I've heard this, that a certain percentage will go to low and moderate income ratepayers to be chosen pretty much by the utilities on an opt-out basis. What I haven't heard is the process for whatever percentage of subscribers will be allowed to subscribe, who are just who don't have roofs that are compatible for putting on solar, which is sort of me. And so I keep meaning to sort of look into the SCEF program to see whether I can apply. Do you know whether that whole process is up and running yet?
I don't. It's been long enough since I've looked at that I don't want to give you the wrong information. I do know the docket number 190701 RE01.
Okay.
That's where the information about like that subscriber process I think was determined.
Maybe I better go like to the it's probably Eversource. If I did the Eversource website and look for something about SCEF, maybe they would be.
Yeah, they probably have, as the administrator, one of the administrators, they probably would have information too. Yep.
Great, thanks.
Okay, anything else on solar or?
Well, I just want to follow up with Peter. I know that at a previous meeting, there was conversation about following up with E.O. Smith about solar carports. And Peter, did you send an email to the E.O. Smith Board of Education?
No, I did not, but I did write a Post-it note and put it on my computer, which I'm looking at right now.
You get points for that.
Well, not too many. So yes, thank you for reminding me about that, Ginny.
Okay, sure.
Anything else on this? All right, why don't we move on to, well, hello, Al, welcome.
Hi,
Nice to see you.
thank you.
All right, we're moving on to agenda item number 4, zero waste schools. So Ginny, give you a report on this.
Yeah, so I don't know how many of you are aware of this, but the what's considered the bottle bill, it's the container deposit bill that Connecticut has, a 5-cent deposit on soda cans and water bottles. That was updated last year, and part of that update included having those small alcoholic bottles, the nip bottles, then the start of charging 5 cents per bottle, and having that money go to the municipality within where those bottles were sold. So that started last October, and every 6 months, municipalities will be receiving funds, the money for those NIPS bottles. So Mansfield received $14,872 last month for the past 6 months sales of NIPS bottles. So again, in October, the town will be receiving money based on the sales of NIPS. And that money is to be used in a municipality for something solid waste related, litter related. So one of the things that, and this is where Matt had asked if this could be put on this agenda. The Solid Waste Advisory Committee has talked about this, the NIPS money, and thought that some of the money could be used for summer help to do some litter pickup on some of our Mansfield's roads, town roads. But they also have talked about using the funds for buying, for instance, reusable, washable items for the festival, for instance, Festival on the Green, or for the schools. So there's a little bit of a push for the schools to go zero waste, you know, whatever that means, but moving in that direction. And some more things have been purchased for the schools to reduce their, for instance, disposable stuff at lunchtime. So the NIPS money could certainly be used toward that end. But I wanted to bring it up to this group and for discussion, which I will then take to the Solid Waste Advisory Committee as well.
Go ahead, Matt.
Before, I think it was, now I've gotten like 3 hours sleep last night, 4 hours the night before because of all my personal drama, but so my memory is not the best. Jenny, correct me if I say something wrong, but before I joined the Sustainability Committee, and this was, I think, before COVID, so that goes to show you when we're talking, I had a group of students that were excited about doing green things. We called it the Green Team, and we were going to rename it, and we got some certification, and we were supposed to get a banner, but then they never came out because of COVID. But one of the things, and Jenny, I can't remember, I think you were there talking to, and I can't remember the lady's name that does that's in charge of food prep for E.O. Smith, but she was on board with trying to use reusables, reusable trays and silverware and all that. And I think one of the hitches in the giddy up there was it's not only acquiring the materials, but then there's a cost saving. So you put money out front, but then now you're not buying all the disposables. So there was that financial piece. But one of the other things was then you had to pay somebody to physically run the dishwasher and do all that. And I think she was on board with working with that. But what I'm wondering now, and then COVID hit, and a lot of everything became about, avoiding the spread of COVID, and a lot of these other ideas got put way on the back burner. But what I'm wondering now is if there's an opportunity here to basically, if there was some money that, we could get the reusable stuff or put in a portion of it. And then if there was money to pay somebody that is on the kitchen staff to do the dishwasher work, then we wouldn't be generating waste anymore. We would significantly, because you can imagine what that school waste must look like coming out of the cafeteria with everything being disposable and thrown in there. But, so that was, when I saw these emails coming across and the news story about it, that was the first thing I thought of. I don't know what other people think about it, but that was my thoughts.
Great. Anybody else input on this?
I think that's actually a pretty darn good idea. The only thing is that it being E.O. Smith, it's not a Mansfield institution. So you could conceivably, if say, well, we are willing to chip in $5,000, $10,000 of that $14,000, provided that the other towns proportionally chip in some money. They may not be as nip rich as we are, so maybe they'll have to find some other money. But I like your idea, Matt.
Thanks. And I mean, I don't know how we would go. Like, I'm trying to think of the next step forward, if we would approach the food service people and do get some numbers, get some background, and reassess the interest. And then kind of, I don't know if I would go to the superintendent then and ask directly, or, yeah, I'd have to think about that. But that might be worth, if you all think we should look into it. I'm happy to kind of play around with this and see what I can do here at the school, and see what I can find out, and what kind of numbers we're talking. I don't have any idea how expensive this would be. It would be great if it wouldn't cost that much. And then out of that 14,000, what if it took 10% instead of, the lion's share? That would be great. I just don't know. But kind of wanted to hear what people thought too.
Well, I can say that Julie Sherman was a science teacher at E.O. Smith and is the chairperson of the Solid Waste Advisory Committee. She and I met with the superintendent of E.O. Smith in April, I think it was the beginning of April, to talk about this very thing. And so she was going to speak to the key people within E.O. Smith. And so that there needs to be a follow-up to that conversation. So I can keep this committee posted on, how that is evolving. They have the staff to do the dishwashing. So that's really, there aren't, I would say, compared to other school districts, there aren't many barriers to implementing it. There just needs to be a thoughtfulness around the design of it. So if you have washable items at the school, then you really need to think about where the stations are for waste disposal, because you don't want it to be ambiguous as to where to place the items that are going to be washed. So anyhow, those kinds of things need to be considered and worked out.
And you don't want your reusables to end up in the trash either.
Ginny, were there other ideas that you thought of as the solid waste person for the town, of zero waste ideas that should be considered?
Well, the fall festival is looking at washable items for food vendors. So, maybe it was really around washable food service items, mostly the funds for that. And also summer help for picking up litter. Those were the things that have come out of the Solid Waste Advisory Committee.
Okay. Yeah, Matt. Go ahead, Matt.
All right, there we go. The phone decided to fight me there. We had an arm wrestling match. Who is, so when we look at Mansfield Hollow Dam and the whole park associated with it, is that in the town of Mansfield? Is that a Mansfield town entity, or is that run by a state entity? Who actually runs that? Because I know you see all sorts of different. Because my question is, people are, they'll bring their dogs up and you're supposed to clean up after your dog. And of course, I clean up after my dog and I take the bag of waste. I have a nice little compartment I clip to my belt and I throw the little bag in there. And then when I get home, I throw it out. A lot of people, what drives me crazy is they'll pick up their dog waste and put it in a plastic bag, tie it off, and then leave the plastic bag somewhere along the trail. And there's plastic bags of dog. So now it can't even degrade because it's in a plastic bag. Would have been better if they had just left it by itself. But what I was wondering is if it would be possible to put some barrels somewhere along the way, although usually what happens is then people throw other trash in them, not just dog waste. But I'm wondering if that's a town of Mansfield thing, if we could put some barrels for dog waste bag deposits, so we don't have to see it strewn all over the park.
Yeah, I think Mansfield Hollow State Park is run by DEEP. And the dam itself is the Army Corps of Engineers, like the infrastructure and whatnot, but I don't know. Ginny, does the town do garbage pickup at the park? No. Yeah. And DEEP, as far as I know, for decades, they've been pretty hands off on park collection. Like it's take in, take out has been the basic strategy. I don't know if they do any. I know they weren't collecting recyclables other than the huge parks like Hammonasset or something, but I don't know.
All right, thank you.
But could be a, I don't know, suggestion for state money. All right, this is a good discussion. So any Ginny, you want to take those things back to the SWAC Solid Waste Committee? And
I had
Yeah.
one
go
other.
ahead, Josh.
I know there's bigger and bigger interest in like composting and diverting food waste. I don't know if it sounds like the use of the funds to get reusable dishes and stuff is a really great initial use that could reduce waste, but over time, presumably we would have that money coming in and we've already got the stuff in place. I'm wondering if people started thinking now about like if there's any sort of pilot programs that could be done for composting, even if it wasn't with residences, if it was with like restaurants in the town or something, but just some funding that helps to get a pilot program that could then be taken to the state or somewhere else to try to get additional funding to help, but kind of have like a proof of concept done first.
Yeah, we need a local compost facility. That's the hang up here. Eastern Connecticut is a compost facility desert. But yes, that's an idea. I mean, for businesses like the Big Y or Natchog Hospital, for instance, where they probably have a lot of food waste. There might be enough material that to run it to, well, Quantum Biopower in Southington, maybe it's worthwhile. Maybe it costs a little less than the cost of hauling trash. I don't know.
But yeah, that's an interesting idea. Even with Stores Center, some kind of campaign with the businesses there around food waste or zero waste. Because it's a good point. The money's gonna come in. You can't guarantee how much, but it's gonna keep coming in, even like a curbside collection program for organics or something for residents. I don't know. Have we ever looked at residential curbside organics in Mansfield, Ginny?
I haven't because we don't have an outlet for it. I have talked to Willimantic Waste Paper about combining a run with Yukon because they take the dining hall stuff to Quantum Biopower,
Yeah.
but have been told that the expense of that, the answer was no.
Mhm.
I think those things are changing and shifting, so definitely these funds could be used in the future for something like that. When you're speaking of food waste, wasted food, that would be another option, is really working with businesses if they don't have it already, but food businesses in getting the food that might go to waste to outlets where they could use the food. So so things that would be related to food share or soup kitchen, that sort of thing. So.
Ginny, is there something, I mean, Josh, I like your idea a lot, but I understand that there is no place to bring that waste. But Ginny, I'll just ask, is there something between, sort of technologically between Quantum Biopower, which I toured and is at a very impressive facility, between that and my backyard composting device or bins? Is there something that's a little bit bigger than what I have in my backyard, but not so big as Quantum?
The transfer station leaf pile. Which is where residential food scraps are going to. I mean, residents can bring their food scraps to the transfer station, put them in the leaf pile, they'll be composted. And that's where that's where the food's going from the schools into the leaf pile now. So that's between Quantum Biopower and your backyard compost pile.
And could that use more waste, or are they pretty much at their limit?
Well, the issue with that is that there's no permit. DEP has not created a permit to allow towns to compost food scraps in their leaf piles. So the residential permission was based on a demonstration project, which cost the town $500 to apply for this demonstration project, which lasts 2 years, and then it's over. The amount of food scraps they determined was so small, it was insignificant that we can keep doing that. I applied for a second demonstration project for the school food scraps to go in the leaf pile. And so we're in the midst, the town's in the midst of that pilot project, and that ends, I think it ends next year, the end of this year. I don't know, I have to look. And then after that, then I don't know what. I'm hoping, I keep hoping that they'll get it together to do a permit. They've been saying they would write a permit for, anyhow. We're being recorded, so I shouldn't shame my fellow colleagues at DEP. It is really shameful, it just is that they haven't put together a permit, because a lot of towns have transfer stations with leaf piles.
But I was under the understanding from Robert Eisner at DEEP that towns could put, they didn't have a full bore permit process, but they were kind of like doing a bit of a legitimate, like admittedly, a bit of a workaround to allow residents from a town to bring food scraps to municipal leaf composting facilities and like a community garden that was doing composting and whatnot. So in other words, you know, this whole thing about it's a waste when it leaves your yard that's regulated was kind of saying, no, for residential, we're going to allow this because of the crisis. So it might be worth an exploration to see, well, you're still waiting on an answer on an extension or whatever, Ginny?
No, I haven't requested an extension because I'm still within the
Okay.
2-year period. But yeah, I mean, I would request an extension because this, you know, school composting is just an ongoing thing.
Right.
So, but yeah.
Well, so maybe there's a little, yeah, some good ideas of things to maybe could be explored further. I don't know if there's something you want to, when you talk about it with the SWAC, if there's something that would be helpful for people to volunteer to help research or make calls or whatever. Yeah, you know, since
Hey,
we're
I have a question for Josh that's sort of relevant to this. So I know that the quantum biopower people have been talking for years about, yes, they would like to open up another facility. They'd actually been thinking about Eastern Connecticut. And I think I've seen legislation and certainly DEEP has expressed interest in that. I'm not clear where that's all at. And, you know, do you have any sense of when the next anaerobic biodigester will open in Connecticut?
I don't. That, I guess, has some energy overlap, but that's pretty squarely on the environmental side, or at least from sort of my job duty. So I haven't really heard
Okay.
or heard anything on that front.
I think there is a farm in Coventry that is looking at doing a biodigester. And I don't know where that is in the process. And I also gather that Casella, the new owners of Willimantic Waste Paper, are looking at a composting facility in Canterbury, I think it is, which is kind of equidistant to Enfield, which is the closest compost facility to us. So there is some exploration, but I don't know how far along either of those are in the process.
Okay. Cool. Well, we'll see. Let's see. Let's move on since we only have 4 minutes left. Earth Extravaganza event debrief. Any
Tomorrow, yeah, tomorrow I'm meeting with coworkers about events, and I think there will be some conversation about the Earth Day event. And I was just wondering if any of you had comments about it, suggestions. Is it worth trying to do again next year? Is it not? That sort of thing.
Go ahead, Katie.
I know Al and I went to it and we both enjoyed ourselves. I particularly liked the, I think it's the third graders were doing. They had one of the schools that had quite a exhibition of how they were making paper, how they were doing different things. I just thought that's something to maybe hit upon the schools a little bit more, to do some stuff like that. I was very impressed with that one. I did learn a lot about the electric cars, and that was interesting too. And I thought it was very good. I just wish more people had participated in it, but maybe, COVID's still a problem, and people getting together, that might have held some people back, but also too, maybe next year try to get some other different things in there. It was cute with the Mansfield flowers there. That was good. I didn't make it to their plant sale, but yeah, I thought the exhibitions were very good, and I really liked the animal doctor there. That was cute.
Any other comments?
Well, I went through and got 6 EV owners to show up, and they had a good time talking to each other and to a few people who showed up. But I think it was it would have been nice if more people had shown up. And I did hear, I didn't go looking for information about this, but I did hear from people in some other towns saying, oh, by the way, our Earth Day festival was really well attended. And so I don't think, I don't know what it is, but and I know, I talked to Ginny a little bit about this. There were limitations on staff time to put this out, but there is, from my, the few times I've had to put on events, there's a lot of anxiety. I've certainly felt very anxious about how to get people to show up, and that my view was always that you have to do a full court press. You just, every place you possibly can, given your budget. And I don't know whether that was done, but I think that I would really look at what was the advertising, and putting it in a few places is good, but that's usually not enough. You have to put up posters around town. You have to put it in one publication. You have to use social media. And again, it's always easier to say that than to actually carry that out. But I do question how much it was advertised.
I think it was very good for the first year of having it. And I feel we can only go ahead on it, and maybe it'll spark some other people to get involved and help out. That's what I look at.
Okay. Well, good. So maybe Ginny, you can bring some of those comments back to the other folks, and we could get more of a head start next year and brainstorm on how we get the word out better. Or I don't know, if people have a kid singing in an event, they'll come, like maybe there's just a way to integrate other things that bring people for other reasons that stay for it or as part of it. All right, let's move on to Southeast School Furniture Salvage update, and then we will be ready to adjourn.
There's a meeting arranged with the Center for Ecotechnology. They're a nonprofit out of Massachusetts. And one of the things that they do is they work with communities in Massachusetts to do deconstruction, have deconstruction policies, build out the infrastructure for deconstruction. So their CET has been working with some select communities in Connecticut to help to build out the infrastructure for deconstruction. And so Mansfield has been represented in those meetings, and so is Wyndham. And so this coming Monday on the 16th, we're meeting with the builders of the new elementary school and the builders of the Wyndham High School. I think it's the high school that's having a renovation or rebuild, I'm not sure. And to discuss at the very least, furniture salvage, which is really as much as the contractors have committed to at this point. But we thought it'd be worthwhile for them, for all of us to be conversing about this with CAT, who has done a lot of work in Massachusetts. So that's happening. And that was it.
That's great. Thanks, Ginny. Okay, well, I think then we will wrap it up for tonight, and thank you all for a good meeting. And we will adjourn at 7:02. Have a good month, everyone.
Yeah,
See you all.
take
See you
care,
all.
Lynn.
Bye-bye, thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.
Good
Bye-bye.
night.
Thanks.